Marcus Chen stood in the royal gardens of Zinthara, his hands behind his back, watching the purple flowers sway in the artificial breeze. 3 years had passed since he became the husband of Queen Zathra, the most powerful ruler in this part of the galaxy. 3 years since he left his old life behind. The other aliens in the palace thought he was harmless. They saw a quiet human who spent his days reading books and tending to plants. They watched him smile politely at diplomatic functions, always standing 2 steps behind his wife. Some of them whispered that humans were weak creatures, soft and small compared to the mighty warriors of other species. Marcus never corrected them. He simply smiled and continued his peaceful routine. Queen Zathra was magnificent by any standard. She stood 8 feet tall with silver skin that shimmered under the light. Her people, the Zintharians, were known across the galaxy as brilliant strategists and honorable fighters. They had built an empire that stretched across 50 star systems. When Earth first made contact with them, the humans knew they needed to be careful. That was why they sent Marcus as an ambassador. That was why he agreed to marry Zathra when she proposed the union. A marriage between their species would ensure peace between their worlds. At least that was what everyone believed. Marcus walked through the palace halls, nodding to the guards who barely looked at him. He passed the war room where Zathra's council was meeting. Through the open door he could hear them arguing. "The Krell Dominion grows bolder every day," General Korvax said, his deep voice carrying into the hallway. "They have conquered 3 systems in the past month. We should prepare for war." "We are prepared," another council member replied. "Our fleet is strong. Our warriors are trained. What more can we do?" "The humans offered to help," someone mentioned. They said their military could assist if needed. Several council members laughed at this suggestion. Marcus paused outside the door but didn't enter. He had learned not to force his opinions on them. "Human military?" General Korvax scoffed. "I have seen humans. They are small. They have no natural armor, no claws, no venom. What could they possibly offer us in battle? Their ships are adequate." The Queen's voice cut through the discussion. Even after 3 years, Marcus felt his heart beat faster when he heard her speak. "But Korvax is right. We do not need assistance. We will handle the Krell ourselves if they dare to challenge us." Marcus continued walking. He had heard enough. He made his way to the library, his favorite room in the entire palace. It was filled with books and data tablets from hundreds of different worlds. He spent hours here every day, reading histories of galactic conflicts, studying battle strategies, learning everything he could about the species around him. Old habits died hard. That evening, Marcus joined Zathra for dinner in their private chambers. She looked tired, her silver skin less bright than usual. Being a queen was exhausting work. "You heard the council meeting today," she said. It wasn't a question. Zathra always knew where he was and what he was doing. "You didn't come inside." "You didn't need me there," Marcus replied, pouring her a glass of Zintharian wine. "You're handling the Krell situation perfectly." "Am I?" She looked at him with her large violet eyes. "The truth is, Marcus, I don't know what to do. The Krell have never been this aggressive before. Every report suggests they're planning something big." Marcus sat down across from her. "What does your military intelligence say?" "They believe the Krell are testing our defenses. Small raids, border skirmishes, nothing we can't handle. But General Korvax thinks it's more than that. He thinks they're preparing for a full invasion." "Korvax is smart," Marcus said quietly. "You should listen to him." Zathra studied her husband carefully. Sometimes in moments like these she saw something in his eyes that confused her, something old and dangerous hiding behind his gentle smile. But then he would blink, and it would be gone and he would just be Marcus again. Her kind, peaceful husband who wouldn't hurt anyone. "I wish you would attend the war councils," she said. "You have a good mind for strategy. I've seen you solve puzzles that stump my best advisors." "Puzzles in books are different from real war," Marcus replied. "Besides, your council already thinks I'm useless. I don't need to prove them right by offering opinions on matters I don't understand." Zathra wanted to argue, but she was too tired. She finished her wine and they talked of other things. Marcus made her laugh with stories about the strange plants in the garden. He always knew how to make her feel better. 2 days later, there was a grand state dinner. Every important person in the Zintharian Empire attended. Diplomats from allied species came with gifts and pretty words. The great hall was filled with music and light and the smell of expensive food. Marcus wore his formal robes and stood beside Zathra's throne. He smiled at the guests and said very little. This was his role. The quiet human consort who looked nice but didn't matter. Much nobody noticed when he tensed slightly. Nobody saw how his eyes tracked the servers moving through the room. Nobody understood why he slowly shifted his position, placing himself between the queen and the main entrance. Then the screaming started. The palace guards at the door fell, their bodies hitting the floor with heavy thuds. 6 figures burst into the hall, moving with deadly speed. They were Krell warriors, each one standing 8 feet tall, covered in thick armor scales. Their claws could cut through steel. Their weapons could blast through walls. Guests panicked and ran. The remaining palace guards drew their weapons and charged forward, trying to protect their queen. They died quickly. The Krell were trained killers, the best the Dominion had to offer. General Korvax threw himself in front of Zathra, his own weapon ready. "Get the queen to safety," he roared, but the Krell were too fast. They spread out, cutting off every escape route. One of them, the leader, pointed directly at Queen Zathra. "Your Majesty," the Krell assassin said in broken Zintharian, "the Dominion sends its regards. Your empire ends tonight." Zathra stood tall, refusing to show fear. She was a queen. If she died, she would die with dignity. Then Marcus stepped forward. He moved from his position beside the throne, walking calmly toward the Krell assassins. His hands were relaxed at his sides. He didn't look afraid. He didn't look angry, he looked focused. "Marcus, no!" Zathra shouted, reaching for him. But he was already out of her reach. The Krell leader looked at the human approaching him. For a moment, the assassin seemed confused. This small creature was walking toward certain death. Was the human stupid or brave? Marcus stopped 10 feet away from the Krell. He smiled that same gentle smile he always wore. "Gentlemen," he said in perfect Krell language, which surprised everyone, "I'm afraid I can't let you hurt my wife." The Krell leader laughed. "And what will you do, little human? You have no weapon. You have no armor. You are nothing." Marcus's smile didn't change. He reached up to the ceremonial pin on his robe, the one that looked like a simple decoration. His fingers touched it gently. "Actually," Marcus said, his voice still calm and quiet, "I have plenty of weapons." The pin opened. Inside was technology the Zintharians had never seen before. Small, compact, deadly. Marcus's entire posture changed in an instant. The gentle husband disappeared. In his place stood something else. Something the galaxy had forgotten to fear. A human soldier who had gone to war. The Krell leader barely had time to raise his weapon before Marcus moved, and the throne room erupted in violence. Marcus moved like water, smooth and impossible to stop. The first Krell assassin swung his massive clawed hand at the human's head, fast enough to decapitate most creatures. Marcus ducked under it, his movement so precise that the claws passed through empty air exactly where his neck had been a split second before. As he ducked, Marcus's hand came up with a small device that looked like a simple metal cylinder. He pressed it against the Krell's armored chest and activated it. There was a sharp electric crack, and the assassin's entire body went rigid. His armor, meant to protect him from energy weapons, instead conducted the electrical charge directly into his nervous system. The Krell collapsed like a puppet with its strings cut. The other 5 assassins reacted instantly. They spread out, trying to surround Marcus. These were professionals, trained killers who had eliminated hundreds of targets. They would not make the same mistake their companion had. Marcus didn't wait for them to complete their formation. He rolled forward, coming up inside the reach of the second assassin. This Krell was faster than the first, bringing his weapon around to blast Marcus at point-blank range. But Marcus grabbed the warrior's arm, twisted it with surprising strength, and redirected the weapon. When the Krell fired, the energy blast hit the third assassin instead, burning through his armor and dropping him instantly, 2 down in less than 5 seconds. Zathra stood frozen beside her throne, unable to process what she was seeing. Her gentle husband, the man who spent his days reading and growing flowers, was fighting 6 trained Krell assassins, and he was winning. General Korvax watched with wide eyes. He had trained for decades in combat. He understood fighting. But what Marcus was doing wasn't just fighting. It was art, it was science. It was something the general had never seen before. The Krell leader realized they had underestimated the human. He barked orders in his own language, and the remaining 4 assassins changed tactics. They stopped trying to capture Marcus and started trying to kill him as quickly as possible. Marcus moved between them like smoke. When they struck at him, he wasn't there. When they tried to shoot him, he was already moving. He used their size against them, staying too close for them to use their weapons effectively. He used the environment, kicking chairs and tables into their path, forcing them to stumble and separate. He pulled more devices from hidden pockets in his ceremonial robes. A flat disc that he threw like a toy. But when it hit the fourth assassin's helmet, it exploded with a sharp bang, cracking the armor and leaving the Krell dizzy and blind. A thin wire that Marcus wrapped around the fifth assassin's weapon, then pulled tight, disarming him and dragging him off balance. The disarmed Krell charged at Marcus with his bare claws. He was still dangerous, still strong enough to tear a human apart. Marcus waited until the last possible moment, then dropped to the ground and swept the assassin's legs. The Krell fell hard and Marcus was on him immediately, pressing specific points on the warrior's neck. The assassin went limp, unconscious, 5 down. 2 minutes and 30 seconds since the attack began, only the Krell leader remained. He was the biggest of the group, the most experienced. He looked at Marcus with new respect and new hatred. "You are no simple consort," the Krell leader growled. "No," Marcus agreed, breathing hard but still focused. "I'm not. What are you?" Marcus didn't answer. He just waited, balanced and ready. The Krell leader pulled out 2 curved blades, weapons that could cut through almost anything. If Marcus got hit by those blades, all his speed and skill wouldn't matter. They circled each other. The throne room was silent except for their breathing. Everyone else was watching, waiting to see what would happen. The Krell leader attacked with a series of fast, powerful strikes. Marcus dodged and blocked, using his forearms in ways that should have resulted in lost limbs. But his ceremonial robes had hidden armor woven into them, strong enough to deflect the blades. The Krell's eyes widened in surprise. Marcus counterattacked, targeting weak points in the armor, joints where the protection was thinner. He was faster than the Krell, but not as strong. One solid hit would end him, so he didn't let the Krell hit him solidly. The fight moved across the throne room. Marcus led the Krell leader near one of the support columns, then at the last second, ducked aside. The Krell's blade struck the column instead, embedding deep in the stone. While the assassin struggled to pull his weapon free, Marcus struck him 3 times in rapid succession. Nerve strikes that temporarily paralyzed the Krell's arm. The leader roared in pain and anger, swinging with his other blade. Marcus caught his arm, twisted, and used the Krell's own momentum to slam him face-first into the floor. Before the assassin could recover, Marcus had his knee on the warrior's back and something sharp pressed against his neck. "Stay down," Marcus said quietly, "or I end this." The Krell leader had no choice. He stopped struggling. Marcus looked up. The entire throne room was staring at him. Zathra's hand was over her mouth, her eyes wide with shock. General Korvax held his weapon loosely, forgotten in his amazement. The diplomatic guests who hadn't fled were pressed against the walls, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. Marcus stood slowly, keeping his weapon trained on the Krell leader. His ceremonial robes were torn and dirty, but he wasn't seriously injured. He looked around the room, his expression calm again. "Someone want to get me some restraints?" he asked. "Heavy ones." "These are Krell warriors. They're very strong." Palace guards rushed forward, bringing chains and energy bindings. They secured all 6 assassins, checking to make sure they were truly subdued. 2 were unconscious. 3 were stunned and disoriented. The leader glared at Marcus with pure hatred. Zathra finally found her voice. "Marcus," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "What? How did you—" "We should talk," Marcus said gently. "In private. There are things I should have told you before." "What things?" General Korvax demanded, stepping forward. "What are you, human? What kind of warrior moves like that?" Marcus met the general's eyes. For the first time since arriving on Zinthara, he let the other beings see who he really was. No more hiding, no more pretending. The kind of warrior Earth trained for 40 years of war. Marcus said simply, "The kind who survived battles you can't imagine. The kind your military advisors were right to worry about." He turned back to Zathra. "I'm sorry, my queen. I should have been honest with you from the beginning. I was a soldier before I was an ambassador. Before I became your husband. I've been trying very hard to leave that life behind." "How long?" Zathra asked. "How long were you a soldier?" 23 years, Marcus replied. "Most of my adult life. I fought in the colony wars. I served with Earth's Special Operations Command. I led missions on 16 different worlds. And when Earth asked me to come here, To help make peace with your people, I thought it was a chance to stop being a soldier, to be something better. He gestured at the unconscious assassins. But apparently war isn't done with me yet. The throne room was silent. Everyone was processing this information, trying to reconcile the gentle consort they knew with the deadly fighter they had just seen. Chathra stepped down from her throne. She walked toward Marcus slowly, her expression unreadable. When she reached him, she looked down at him from her greater height. "You lied to me," she said softly. "I didn't lie," Marcus replied. "I just didn't tell you everything. I wanted to be the person you thought I was. I wanted to leave the soldier behind. Can you?" Chathra asked. "Can you really leave that behind?" Marcus thought about it carefully. "I don't know," he admitted. "I thought I could. But when those assassins came for you, I didn't think. I just acted. Some things become part of who you are." Before Chathra could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the palace. A guard rushed into the throne room, breathing hard. "Your Majesty," the guard shouted. "We have reports coming in from intelligence. The assassination attempt was just the beginning. Long-range sensors have detected a massive Krell fleet headed our way. They'll be here in 3 days." General Korvax cursed in his native language. "How many ships?" "At least 300, the guard replied. "Maybe more. It's a full invasion force." The room erupted in shocked conversation. 300 ships was an enormous fleet. The Zintharian homeworld's defenses were strong, but against those numbers they would struggle. Marcus walked over to a communications panel on the wall. He entered a code that made several guards reach for their weapons nervously. "What are you doing?" General Korvax demanded. "Calling for help," Marcus replied. The screen flickered to life, showing the symbol of Earth's military command. "Your Majesty, with your permission, I'd like to contact Earth. We're going to need their fleet." "The human fleet?" Someone scoffed. "What good will that do?" Marcus looked at the room full of doubters. His expression was hard now, nothing gentle about it. "You're about to find out why other species are afraid of humans when we fight," he said. "Why we're not the biggest or the strongest, but we've survived every war we've ever fought. Why Earth's military doctrine makes other species nervous." He turned back to the screen. "This is Marcus Chen, authorization code Theta 779er. I need to speak with Admiral Sarah Chen. Tell her it's her little brother and I need the family to come help." The operator on the other end looked shocked but nodded. The war room of the Zintharian palace had never been this crowded. Military commanders, diplomatic officials, and intelligence officers filled every available space. At the center of it all stood Queen Chathra, with Marcus at her side. For the first time since their marriage, he was not standing behind her. He was standing beside her, equal and present. On the main display screen, Admiral Sarah Chen's face looked out at the assembled crowd. Behind her, Earth's military command center buzzed with activity. "The 7th Expeditionary Fleet is already moving," Sarah was saying. "We'll arrive in your system in approximately 48 hours. That's cutting it close, but we should beat the Krell by at least 12 hours. "How many ships?" General Korvax asked. He still looked at Marcus with a mixture of respect and suspicion. 67 combat vessels, Sarah replied, plus support ships. "I know it doesn't sound like much compared to the Krell's 300, but trust me, General, numbers aren't everything." 67 ships against 300, one of the Zintharian commanders protested. "This is madness. We'll be destroyed." Marcus spoke for the first time since the meeting began. "Admiral Chen, can you show them the Thermopylae simulation?" Sarah nodded. The screen changed to show a recorded battle scenario. The Zintharian military officers watched in silence as human ships engaged a force 5 times their size. What they saw confused them at first. The human ships didn't fight like any military they knew. They used strange tactics, moving in patterns that made no sense according to traditional military doctrine. Then the enemy fleet started falling apart. Ships exploded from internal damage. Command vessels went dark, their systems corrupted. Fighter squadrons turned on each other, their targeting systems hacked. In less than 20 minutes, the larger force was destroyed. "This is impossible," General Korvax said quietly. "What did we just watch?" "Human warfare," Marcus explained. "We learned early in our history that we can't always win by being stronger. So we learned to win by being smarter. We use technology, psychology, misdirection. We find our enemies' weaknesses and exploit them without mercy. This is dishonorable," one of the Zintharian nobles said, her voice filled with disgust. Where is the honor in tricking your opponent? Marcus turned to look at her. His expression was cold. Honor doesn't mean much to the dead. When someone comes to kill my family, I don't fight with honor. I fight to win. Zathra placed a hand on his arm, a gentle reminder to stay calm. But she was looking at her nobles with a firm expression. The Krell are coming to destroy our world. They sent assassins to kill me in my own palace. I will use every tool available to stop them, honorable or not. The room fell silent. It was clear that their queen had made her decision. For the next 2 days, the palace became a military headquarters. Marcus worked alongside General Korvax and the other commanders, sharing human tactical knowledge. At first, the Zintharian officers resisted his ideas. They were used to direct combat, fleet-to-fleet engagements where the stronger side usually won. Marcus's suggestions seemed strange and complicated, but as they worked through the simulations, they began to understand. Human tactics were based on making the enemy uncertain, forcing them to make mistakes, then punishing those mistakes without mercy. Late at night, after another long day of planning, Marcus sat alone in his chambers. He was looking at a small data pad, scrolling through old files. Zathra found him there, his face lit by the soft glow of the screen. You should rest, she said, sitting down beside him. Tomorrow will be difficult. Can't sleep, Marcus replied. He showed her the data pad. I was looking through my old mission reports, trying to remember what worked and what didn't. Zathra looked at the screen. She couldn't read human writing very well, but she could see images, battles, destroyed ships, lists of casualties. You've fought many wars, she said softly. Too many. Marcus set the data pad down. When I was 20 years old, I joined Earth's military. Back then, I thought it would be exciting. I thought I'd be a hero, protecting humanity from threats. I was stupid and young. What changed? I saw what war really was. Not glory or honor. Just death and suffering. I lost friends. Good people who died because of orders I gave. And even when we won, it never felt like winning. It just felt like surviving. He looked at Zathra, his eyes tired. When Earth asked me to come here to help make peace with your people, I jumped at the chance. I thought maybe I could do something good for once. Maybe I could help prevent wars instead of fighting them. And then I met you and I thought maybe I could finally be someone other than a soldier. Zathra took his hand. Her silver skin was warm against his. You are more than a soldier, Marcus. You're kind. You're patient. You make me laugh. You've never once used your position to demand anything. You've been a good husband. But I lied to you about who I was, did you? Zathra asked. Or did you just show me a different part of yourself? The part you wanted to be? Marcus thought about that. Maybe both. They sat together in silence for a while. Finally, Zathra spoke again. I was angry when I learned the truth. Angry and frightened. I thought I knew you, and suddenly I realized I didn't. The man I married was hiding a warrior inside himself. A very dangerous warrior. I never wanted you to see that part of me. I know. But Marcus, I need you to understand something. Zathra turned to face him fully. I don't love you less because of what you were. If anything, I respect you more. You had all this power, all this skill, and you chose to be gentle instead. You chose peace. That takes more strength than fighting ever could. Marcus felt something tight in his chest loosen. He hadn't realized how much he needed to hear those words. The Krell are coming, Zathra continued. And I need the soldier part of you to help protect our people. But when this is over, I want the gentle husband back. I want the man who grows flowers and reads books and makes me smile. Can you do that? I can try, Marcus promised. I'll always try. The next morning, the human fleet arrived. From the palace observation deck, Marcus and Zathra watched as 67 human ships emerged from hyperspace. They were smaller than Zintharian vessels, sleeker and faster. They moved with precision, taking up defensive positions around the planet. Admiral Sarah Chen's ship, the ESS Resolute, took position directly above the palace. A shuttle launched from its bay, heading down to the surface. 20 minutes later, Sarah Chen walked into the palace throne room. She was shorter than most of the Zintharians, just like all humans, but she carried herself like someone used to being obeyed. Her uniform was perfectly maintained, and her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun. She looked at Marcus and smiled. Little brother, she said, walking forward to embrace him. You look old. You look older, Marcus replied, returning the hug. Thanks for coming. Wouldn't miss it. Someone's got to save your butt again. Sarah turned to look at Zathra, then bowed respectfully. Your Majesty. I'm Admiral Sarah Chen, Commander of Earth's 7th Expeditionary Fleet. My brother speaks highly of you. Zathra inclined her head. Admiral, your arrival is very welcome, though I must admit, 67 ships seems like a small force against what we face. Sarah grinned. It was not a friendly expression. Your Majesty, you're thinking like a traditional military commander. More ships mean more firepower, right? But humans learned a long time ago that wars aren't won with the biggest guns. They're won with the best strategies. She walked to the tactical display and brought up a star map. The Krell fleet will arrive in about 10 hours. They'll come out of hyperspace here, at the edge of your system. They'll expect us to meet them in open space. Fleet against fleet. Traditional engagement, and we won't? General Korvax asked, interested despite himself. Hell no, Sarah said cheerfully. We're going to do something they won't expect. We're going to let them come to us. We're going to use the planet's gravity wells, its orbital stations, the asteroid field in the outer system. We're going to turn this entire star system into a trap. For the next several hours, Sarah explained the battle plan. It was complex and risky, requiring precise timing and coordination between human and Zintharian forces. The Zintharian commanders asked many questions, some skeptical, some genuinely curious. Sarah answered them all with patience and confidence. Marcus watched his sister work, remembering why she was one of Earth's best commanders. She had a gift for making complicated plans sound simple, for inspiring confidence in her troops. He had missed working with her. As the meeting was breaking up, Sarah pulled Marcus aside. You okay? She asked quietly. This has to be strange for you, getting pulled back into all this. Strange is one word for it, Marcus admitted. Terrifying is another. Sarah, if we lose this battle, Zathra and her entire civilization could fall. That's a lot of pressure. We won't lose, Sarah said firmly. You know why? Because we're humans, and humans don't give up. We fight dirty, we fight smart, and we fight until we win or we die. That's what makes us scary to other species. They can beat us in fair fights. So we don't fight fair. That's not exactly reassuring, Sarah laughed. It's not meant to be reassuring. It's meant to be true. She looked at him seriously. I read about what you did with those assassins. 6 trained Krell warriors in under 3 minutes. You haven't lost your edge, little brother. The Krell fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm of metal and fury. 450 warships, each one bristling with weapons. Their formation was perfect, disciplined, overwhelming. They moved toward the Zintharian homeworld with the confidence of predators who had never known defeat. On the bridge of the ESS Resolute, Admiral Sarah Chen watched the enemy approach on her tactical display. Around her, human crew members worked with quiet efficiency. No one was panicking. They had trained for scenarios just like this. They're scanning us, the sensor officer reported, trying to assess our numbers and capabilities. Let them look, Sarah said calmly. Helm, begin pattern Delta 7. Let's give them something to think about. The human fleet began moving in what appeared to be a chaotic pattern, ships breaking formation and scattering across the system. To the Krell commanders watching, it must have looked like panic, like the humans were running away. They were wrong. Down on the planet's surface, Marcus stood in the palace command center next to General Korvax. Dozens of screens showed the battle space above them. He could see the Krell fleet advancing, confident and strong. He could see the human ships spreading out, looking disorganized. Are you certain this will work? Korvax asked nervously. Your ships look like they're fleeing. They're not fleeing, Marcus explained. They're getting into position. Watch. The Krell fleet continued forward, moving deeper into the system. They passed the outer asteroid field. They passed the orbital defense stations. They were heading straight for the planet, intending to overwhelm the defenders with pure numbers. Then Admiral Chen gave the order. All units activate. Suddenly, the scattered human ships weren't scattered anymore. They had formed a 3-dimensional net around the Krell fleet, surrounding them on all sides. The orbital defense stations that the Krell had ignored came online, their weapons hot. And in the asteroid field behind them, dozens of hidden human mines activated, cutting off their retreat. The Krell had walked into a trap. Fire, Sarah said quietly. The human ships unleashed everything they had, but they weren't firing traditional weapons. The first wave was electromagnetic pulse missiles, designed to disrupt enemy electronics. They detonated throughout the Krell formation, and dozens of enemy ships went dark, their systems temporarily offline. The second wave was cyber warfare. Human AI systems launched digital attacks against the Krell computer networks, trying to hack their targeting systems, their communications, their navigation. Some of it worked. Some of it didn't. But it all created confusion. The third wave was kinetic weapons. Simple metal rods, accelerated to incredible speeds. No explosives, no energy signatures, just mass and velocity. They punched through Krell armor like it wasn't there, destroying engines and weapon systems. The Krell fleet tried to respond, but they were confused and disorganized. Their commanders were shouting conflicting orders. Their ships were running into each other as their navigation systems glitched. And through it all, the human ships darted and weaved, hitting and running, never staying in one place long enough to be targeted effectively. "This is insane," Korvax breathed, watching the battle unfold. "They're fighting 400 ships with 67, and they're winning." "They're not trying to destroy the entire fleet," Marcus explained. "They're trying to break their coordination. Make them uncertain. Humans call it the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. If you can complete that loop faster than your enemy, you win. And humans are very, very fast at adapting." But even as he said it, Marcus could see the Krell starting to recover. Their commanders were smart. They were pulling their fleet back together, forming defensive formations. They had more ships. Eventually, numbers would matter. Sarah saw it too. She opened a channel to the Zintharian fleet. "General Korvax, this is Admiral Chen. We've softened them up. Time for you to hit them with everything you've got." The Zintharian warships had been holding back, waiting for the right moment. Now they charged forward, their powerful energy weapons blazing. While the Krell were focused on the annoying human ships darting around them, the Zintharians hit them from the front with traditional overwhelming firepower. The battle became chaos. Ships exploded in bright flashes. Debris scattered across space. The Krell were fighting back hard now, their own weapons tearing through Zintharian shields and human armor. Good people were dying up there on both sides. On the planet's surface, alarms started blaring. Marcus's head snapped up. "What is it?" "Krell landing craft," a sensor officer reported. "They're breaking away from the main fleet, heading for the planet's surface. 20 ships. They're targeting the palace," Marcus cursed. The Krell were trying a ground assault while their fleet kept the defenders busy in space. It was a smart move. "They want to kill the Queen," Korvax said. "If Zathra dies, the Zintharian will to fight will collapse. Our entire chain of command will fall apart." "Then we don't let them reach her," Marcus said. He grabbed a communication device. "Sarah, we have Krell landing craft heading planet-side. I need you to shoot down as many as you can." "We're kind of busy up here, little brother," Sarah replied, her voice tight. In the background, Marcus could hear alarms and explosions. "I can spare a few fighters, but most of those landing craft are going to make it through. Then I'll handle them on the ground. Just buy me time to prepare." Marcus turned to the palace guard commander. "Evacuate all non-essential personnel. Get them to the emergency bunkers. I want every soldier we have ready to defend this palace." "Commander Chen," the guard said hesitantly, "with respect, you're not military. You're the Queen's consort. You should evacuate with Her Majesty." Marcus looked at the guard with cold eyes. "I was fighting wars before you were born, soldier. Right now, I'm the most qualified person on this planet to defend against a Krell ground assault. So you can either follow my orders or you can explain to the Queen why you let her palace fall. Your choice." The guard looked at General Korvax, who nodded. "Do what he says. I've seen what this human can do. If anyone can stop the Krell, it's him." For the next 20 minutes, Marcus transformed the palace into a fortress. He placed soldiers at strategic choke points. He set up traps using materials from the palace itself. He armed everyone who could hold a weapon. The Zintharian guards watched him work, their respect growing with every order he gave. Zathra refused to evacuate. "This is my palace," she said firmly when Marcus tried to convince her to leave. "I will not hide while my people fight. You're the Queen. If you die, your empire loses its leader. And if I run, my people lose their faith in me," Zathra countered. "I stay. I fight." Marcus wanted to argue, but he could see she wouldn't change her mind. Instead, he handed her a human plasma pistol. "Do you know how to use this? Point and pull the trigger? Close enough. Stay behind me. Don't be brave. And if I tell you to run, you run. Understood?" Zathra smiled slightly. "You're very commanding when you're being a soldier." "I know. It's annoying." Marcus checked his own weapons. He had more human technology now, gear that Sarah had brought with the fleet. He looked like a warrior again, armored and armed. The gentle consort was gone completely. The first Krell landing craft crashed through the palace roof, disgorging 20 armored warriors. They were met immediately by defensive fire from the Zintharian guards. The battle for the palace had begun. Marcus moved through the hallways like a ghost, directing the defense. He was everywhere at once, it seemed. When a group of Krell broke through the east wing, Marcus was there to stop them, using guerrilla tactics that confused and frustrated the enemy. When another team tried to sneak through the service tunnels, they found those tunnels rigged with explosives that Marcus had set. More landing craft arrived. 50 Krell warriors became 100, then 200. They were trying to overwhelm the defenders with numbers, the same tactic their fleet was using in space. But the palace was a maze, and Marcus knew every corridor.
He led the Krell into ambushes.
He collapsed hallways behind them, cutting off their reinforcements. He used the palace's own defensive systems in ways the Zintharians had never thought of. Jathra fought beside him, just as she had promised. She was a good shot with the plasma pistol, and her natural strength made her formidable in close combat. Together they held the throne room against wave after wave of attackers. A massive Krell warrior, even bigger than the others, smashed through the throne room doors. His armor was decorated with battle honors. His weapons glowed with energy. This was someone important, a commander or champion. "I am Korgoth," the Krell roared, his voice echoing through the room. "Champion of the Dominion. I challenge you, human warrior. Face me in single combat or watch your queen die." Marcus stepped forward. He was tired. His armor was damaged. He had been fighting for hours. But he didn't hesitate. "I'm Marcus Chen," he said calmly. "Former Special Operations. Current Royal Consort. And I accept your challenge." They circled each other. Korgoth was 12 feet tall, covered in thick armor plates that had turned aside 1,000 weapons. His claws could cut through steel. His strength could break bones. Marcus was 5'10", human fragile, exhausted from constant combat. He had no chance in a direct fight. So he didn't fight directly. He moved like water, dodging Korgoth's powerful strikes by inches. 3 months after the battle, the palace looked almost normal again. The walls had been repaired. The broken columns had been replaced. If you didn't know where to look, you couldn't tell that a war had been fought here. But everything had changed anyway. Marcus walked through the palace halls, and now the guards saluted him. The nobles who had once dismissed him now stepped aside respectfully. The children of the palace ran up to him, asking to hear stories about the battle. He was no longer just the queen's human husband. He was a war hero, a proven warrior, someone who had earned his place. He wasn't sure he liked it. In the war room, a meeting was taking place. Representatives from 6 different species sat around the large table. General Korvax was there, along with Admiral Sarah Chen, who had stayed in the system to help with the defense planning. And at the head of the table sat Queen Zathra, with Marcus beside her. "The Krell Dominion has been quiet since their defeat," an intelligence officer was reporting. "But our scouts indicate they're rebuilding their fleet. They haven't given up." "Of course they haven't," Sarah said, leaning back in her chair. "Bullies never give up after one punch. You have to keep hitting them until they learn their lesson." "The question is, what do we do about it?" Zathra asked. "We can defend against another attack, but eventually they'll come with more ships than we can handle." Marcus had been quiet during most of the meeting, but now he spoke. "We don't wait for them to attack again. We go to them. Not to invade, but to talk. We show them that the cost of continuing this war is too high." "Talk?" General Korvax sounded skeptical. "The Krell don't respect words. They respect strength." "Then we'll bring strength to the table," Marcus said. "But we'll offer peace at the same time. Right now, the Krell Emperor thinks he can win if he just throws enough ships at us. We need to show him he's wrong, and we need to show him there's a better path." "The human is right," said Ambassador Vexus, a representative from the Thalos Collective. "The entire galaxy is watching this conflict. If the Zintharians and humans can defeat the Krell through cooperation, other species will want to join your alliance. The balance of power could shift significantly. Over the next weeks, that's exactly what happened. The victory against the Krell had impressed species throughout the region. Delegations arrived from a dozen worlds, interested in forming defensive pacts. Some wanted military assistance, some wanted access to human technology. All of them recognized that something new was happening in the galaxy. Humans and Zintharians were proving that different species could work together effectively, that they could combine their strengths and cover each other's weaknesses. It was a powerful example. Marcus found himself busier than he had ever been. He was training Zintharian soldiers in human tactics. He was meeting with diplomats from other worlds. He was helping to plan defense strategies for the entire alliance. He had wanted to stop being a soldier, but now he was something else. A teacher, a strategist, a bridge between his people and Zathra's. Late one evening, he was in the library, studying reports about Krell military movements. Zathra found him there, surrounded by data pads and star charts. "You're working too hard," she said, sitting down beside him. "Says the Queen, who was in council meetings for 12 hours today," Marcus replied with a tired smile. "That's different. I'm supposed to work too hard. It's my job." Zathra looked at the star charts. "Do you miss it? Your quiet life before all this?" Marcus thought about that question. "Sometimes," he admitted. "I liked tending the gardens. I liked reading books that had nothing to do with war. I liked being the person who made you laugh instead of the person who made battle plans." "You still make me laugh," Zathra said gently. "You're still the same person, Marcus. You're just more complete now. I see both sides of you, the gentle scholar and the fierce warrior, and I love both. Even though I kept secrets from you, even though," Zathra took his hand, "I understand now why you tried to leave your past behind. War is horrible. It changes people. But Marcus, you didn't let it make you cruel or cold. You fought when you had to, but you never stopped being kind. That's rare. That's special." Marcus pulled her closer. For a moment, they just sat together in comfortable silence. Then he said, "I got a message from Earth today. They're offering me a position as Ambassador General. I would coordinate military and diplomatic efforts between Earth and the allied species. It's a big job, important. Will you take it? I don't know. It would mean less time with you. More traveling. More responsibility. I wanted to stop being a soldier, and instead I'm being asked to lead soldiers from a dozen different worlds." Zathra was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I think you should take it. Not because I want you to be away from me, but because you're good at it, Marcus. You understand how to bring people together, how to find solutions that don't require war. The galaxy needs people like you right now. What about us?" "We'll be fine," Zathra said firmly. "We're partners now. True partners. We've fought together. We've survived together. A little distance won't change that." 2 weeks later, Marcus stood on the bridge of a diplomatic ship heading toward the Krell homeworld. With him were representatives from Earth, Zinthara, and 4 other species. They were going to meet with the Krell Emperor and try to end this war with words instead of weapons. It was risky. The Krell could decide to capture them all. But Marcus had studied the Krell culture carefully. He understood that they respected strength, but they also respected courage. Coming to their homeworld, walking into their territory without an army, that showed courage. The Krell Emperor received them in his throne room. He was massive even by Krell standards, covered in scars from 1,000 battles. He looked at Marcus with interest. "So you're the human who defeated my champion," the Emperor said, his voice like grinding stones. "Smaller than I expected. Humans are often underestimated," Marcus replied calmly. "That's usually a mistake." The Emperor laughed, a harsh sound. "Indeed, you cost me a significant portion of my fleet, human. Many of my warriors. Why should I not have you killed for this?" "Because killing me won't get your fleet back," Marcus said. "And it won't stop the alliance that's forming against you. Right now, 6 species have joined together because of your aggression. If you continue, that number will grow. Eventually, you'll face the combined might of half the galaxy. Even the Krell can't win those odds. So you come offering peace? I come offering an alternative," Marcus corrected. "Keep fighting and you'll eventually lose everything. Or join the alliance. Contribute your strength to something bigger than conquest. There are threats in this galaxy that don't care about borders or empires. Threats that will require all of us working together to face." The Emperor studied Marcus for a long moment. "You speak of threats I should fear more than you?" "I speak of reality," Marcus said. "The Krell are strong. No one denies that. But strength alone isn't enough anymore. The galaxy is changing. Species are learning to work together. Those who refuse to adapt will be left behind." The negotiations took days. The Krell Emperor was proud and stubborn, but he was also smart. He could see that Marcus was right. The alliance was growing stronger every day. And the Krell, for all their military might, couldn't fight everyone forever. In the end, a treaty was signed. The Krell would stop their expansion. They would release the systems they had conquered. In exchange, they would be offered a place in the alliance, with full respect for their military traditions and culture. It wasn't perfect, but it was peace. When Marcus returned to Zinthara, he was greeted as a hero again, but this time it felt different. He hadn't won through violence. He had won through negotiation, through understanding, through finding a solution that let everyone keep their dignity. Shatra met him at the landing pad. She wrapped her arms around him, not caring that hundreds of people were watching. "You did it," she said. "You actually did it." "We did it," Marcus corrected. "This whole alliance, everything we've built, it only works because we showed that cooperation is possible. You and me, two people from different worlds who learned to trust each other." That night there was a great celebration in the palace. Representatives from a dozen species gathered to toast the new peace. Music played. Food from many worlds was served. It felt like the beginning of something important. Marcus found himself on the balcony looking out at the city. The lights were beautiful, millions of them stretching to the horizon. Somewhere down there, families were safe because of the peace treaty. Children would grow up without war. That felt good. Sarah found him there. "Not much for parties?" she asked. "Too many people," Marcus said. "I'm still more comfortable with books and gardens." "You're also apparently comfortable negotiating with genocidal warlords," Sarah pointed out. "Little brother, you've changed. Not in a bad way. You've found balance, the warrior and the diplomat working together." "I had good teachers," Marcus said. "You taught me how to fight. Zathra taught me why we fight. Turns out both lessons are important." Sarah smiled. "I'm proud of you. Mom and Dad would be too." She looked serious for a moment. "Earth wants me to establish a permanent military presence here. A joint command with the Zintharian fleet. They're offering me a promotion to fleet admiral if I take it."